Welcome to Chicago Noir. I'm your host, Darrious Hilmon. Each month, we proudly showcase and amplify the African American experience right here in the Windy City. Every great story has a beginning. And for leading actress Cynthia Kaye McWilliams, that story started far from the bright lights of Hollywood, in Berlin, Germany to be exact. Growing up with parents who told her that her wildest dreams were possible, she leaned fully into her passion for performance, honing her craft with determination and grit. Today, she's one of the most sought-after actors, turning in performances that touch both the heart and the mind. As her on-screen success continues to rise, so too does the depth of her passion for and commitment to playing it forward. Cynthia Kaye McWilliams.
Yes, sir.
I have been a fan of your work for years. Mm-hmm. I am now a fan of yours.
Oh, thank you so much.
And that's saying something, because you've been knocking out the work.
I work. I will say that.
Baby, and you bring your full back to it. So
thank you.
Tell me and our viewers about the man and the woman who created this.
My mother and father, Grady Arvell McWilliams III and Elaine Louise McWilliams. Man, that's a story. I think the best thing I can say right off top is something that always surprises people. My parents are still married. They've been together since they were 16 years old. Since they were 16. They met at a theme park in Kansas City, Kansas. At a time when segregation was still very real. My father went to an all-black school. My mother went to an all-white school. Her family is first-generation Italian. And it was definitely, obviously, not approved for her to be seeing him at the time. So they dated in secret, but eventually, fell in love and got married, and so it all worked out. But the story of how they got together is actually one of my favorite stories ever. They worked at this theme park, and so they would have never known each other otherwise, right? But they got to really hang out and just be friends and, be a part of a friend circle, I guess, that was just interesting. Anyway, my dad, though, I think always secretly had a little crush on her, right? And everybody knew that, except my mom. You know how it is. Sometimes it's like everybody knows somebody like you, but you don't, you in the dark. My mom was dating this other little boy named Keith.
Wow, we know names.
Oh, I know Keith.
All right.
And Keith came to the theme park with another woman.
Oh, he opened the door.
With another little girl. So he came to the theme park with this other little girl, and my mom was hanging out with dad, and my dad, it was weird talking about him in the past. My mom was hanging out with Grady, young Grady, and his friends and everybody, and she saw him and was like, I couldn't believe that she saw him with another man, but my mother will not. She's not a weak woman at all. She's not one to be crying. And so she just turned to my dad and she said, Grady, kiss me. And my dad was like, okay. And he did it, not knowing that he was being used as a ploy, as a pawn in her game.
But being okay with it.
But being okay with it. And so he did it. And they kissed.
And that was it.
And I think they both, stepped away from that moment like, well, look at you, Grady.
Okay, Grady.
Grady.
You know what? We gonna fight all this racism and segregation, baby.
Keith, yes.
We gonna make this love stand, Grady.
And they made it work.
Nobody gonna tell us no.
And they've been together since. My parents got married when they were 18. Mm-hmm. So I guess what I would say about the people that made me is they are. They love each other. They really love each other. They like each other. They respect one another. They've taught me an enormous amount about how important that is. They have character like I've never seen to this day. And from a very, very young age, my mother was like, you can do anything. And there was never a sense that I did. There was never a sense that because of X, Y, and Z, that's not a possibility. It was very much like my mama said I could, my daddy says I can, so I can.
It matters.
I never had parents that were like, oh, find a real job. Never. My mom and dad were always like, if that's what you want to do, then that's what we're going to do. I remember when I was doing community theater, oh, Lord. So I wrote this play when I was 11 years old. I remember.
A full play?
Oh, it was a full, yes. It was my first full-length play.
Sure.
Well, here's what's even crazier.
That's regular.
Yeah, that's what was crazier is that they had a competition on the radio to submit this play to the MC players. I'll never forget them. Martin Chisholm was the first person to produce my work. Yeah, Martin Chisholm players.
I love everything about the 11-year-old
I literally called the radio station.
My work.
I did. I called the radio station and literally was like, like, how do I submit? And they were like, they gave me the information over the radio and asked me a quick couple of questions about the play. I had my soft pitch. But anyway, so I submitted the play. I actually won this competition. They selected it to be produced at the MC Players for their next season. He hadn't met me though, to know that I was a child, basically. So then he did meet me and was like, oh my. Because it was relatively adult material. It was a play about like, it's called Consequences, a cafe of lost souls.
At 11?
Yeah, and it was about at different tables in the cafe that people were dealing with things, and it was really quite grown. And my mom was like, yeah, I'll make sure she's at every rehearsal. I'll get her there, we'll make it work.
There are through lines or red lines in our life, no matter what we ultimately do. And I learned this in therapy, lots and lots of therapy, where you see these through lines, and there is a through line that explains everything I knew about you reading up on you to this moment. I just wanted to mark that moment.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking when you say that too is, I don't think I've thought about it a lot, but it has crossed my mind that also, when you say being a bit ahead of my time, and I think people always say that, like all my friends be like, girl, you've been 80 since you was 8. That's what a lot of people say about me, but I think about it that I grew up with my parents. Right? Think about that. Like, because my parents were, ostracized. Yes. My father lost his mother when he was young.
You were what you had.
Yeah, and even though his father was in his life later, it was a little different. And my mother was estranged from her parents. So we were very much a very tight-knit unit. And my brother's only 2 years away from me, so it was us. Like, we were very much us. And I think about that we grew up, also because I wasn't from a lot of money, that I think about that as now it feels like, I guess that was supposed to be a disadvantage. But it wasn't, because we spent a lot of time at home together. My parents weren't always shipping us off somewhere. We weren't being raised by somebody else, or we weren't in a bunch of because we couldn't afford all that, But what I think about is I grew up with an enormous amount of quality time. Yeah. We had dinner together every night. We had conversations over dinner. I learned a lot about how to communicate.
Yes.
I was raised by people who really encouraged a lot of creativity, sure, but also self-discipline.
Yes.
And a sense of self too.
Yes.
Like just a really clear sense of self.
And a freedom of thought.
Yes. My mother, that's another thing. I will say both my mother and father, but really my mother was, again, like I said, about how she was just a great example. Yeah. She really taught me to speak up for myself. Even I know that a lot of times in school, people will treat you like she's a child, that whole speak when you're spoken to. My mother was not that way. Like, she was like, don't ever be rude. Never be rude or disrespectful. But if something doesn't seem right, feel right, if it needs to be challenged, you have agency. And she would stand on that. And if I got into something with the teacher at school, she would show up and be like, tell me where, I heard the story, tell me where's the wrong, where's the,
because the math ain't math.
Yes, and she would have my back. Now, I might get in the car and she might say, now next time,
okay, right.
maybe do it this way or less this way. My father was also really great about telling me too that, he used to say all the time, my father's always been really good about teaching me kindness, just real kindness. And he would say to me a lot, like, you can say anything to anybody, but it's how you say it. And you have to think about, what do you want? What's the end goal? What do you want? When you're saying what you're saying, what do you want? And if you know that, like, what is your desired result? Then that should inform how you approach it, right?
You are speaking a full word that we all need to be reminded of every.
My daddy just really, they really are. They're just my parents. Neither one. My mother went. She eventually did go to college and get a degree. My dad never went to got his degree, and I was the first person to get a 4-year degree in my family. But they're just so wise. They're just so wise. Really, really smart, good people.
Hi, I'm Robin Robinson, inviting you to tune in to the new CAN TV original program, In Other News. Each week, I will break down newsworthy topics that traditional outlets may ignore, grounded in truth, fun, and blackness, from the trap house to the White House, with the big house in between. Join the conversation on CAN TV Cable Channel 19, or stream live on cantv.org or on the CAN TV Plus app. Hyper-local news and critical analysis. Experience the power of community television.
Cynthia Kaye McWilliams has graced film and television screens with a series of unforgettable performances, bringing depth, charm, and power to every role. From Prison Break and Real Husbands of Hollywood to the last days of Ptolemy Gray, Cynthia has built a career that's as dynamic as it is inspiring. Currently, she's center stage with another standout role in the BET Plus and Netflix hit Average Joe, proving yet again why she's one of the most compelling talents in the industry. I want to talk about, you are a working artist. You are in that rarefied space, certainly for women of color.
My God, yes.
Who are working consistently. Some of my favorites, we talked about this, Hollywood Husbands, Bosch.
Love Titus.
But
Shout out Jamie Hector. I love all
just
those guys.
shout it all out.
A wonderful crew over there.
All of that's great. Let me tell you what's changed my life. It is a show called Average Joe. Dion Cole, you are the stars. There is a character on this show, tell me if you know her. Cat.
Kathy Montgomery. Cat. Kill a cat.
Literally, if you're not careful. But I have thoughts on this. Average show, and I just want to give you your flowers. I started watching the show. And many shows with pedigrees, I've given 5 minutes, I'm like, this isn't going to be it for me. Halfway through that show, I was like, first, I love these people, their family. It is a brilliant ensemble. It is brilliant.
Solid ensemble.
It is solid. You all have chemistry. The story is well crafted. It's well written. It's well
Rob Cohen
acted.
is incredible.
Top to bottom. And it reminds me, for those at home or on your park bench, wherever you're watching us right now, it reminds me a little bit of what I felt when I first saw Ozark.
Yes. I say that a lot, that to me it felt like Ozark when I read it.
Okay, good. But I'm going to tell you something. And this is, I love Ozark. I think it's better. And here's my question. I stand on what I said. I don't got no money in this. Here's my question for you as I was watching it. Is it that this show would get more love, or does it not get enough love because folks who make these decisions, who may not look like you and I, do not on a level, through their white gaze, do not even understand how rich an interpretation of our community these performances are, that they can't even put it on the same level as some of the other performances they're awarding. Where is the gap? Because it is breathtakingly good television and brilliant acting.
The gap is in how we consume television and also how it's marketed. Because I think that every reviewer, when we did our press tour, which also was cut short because of the strike, so that was unfortunate too, because I think had we had an opportunity to get it out more, that might have changed things. Okay. But every reviewer that we had come in, white or black, all said it was great, all loved it, But when people hear a show is on BET, then BET is Black entertainment television. Yeah. It is unfortunate, though, that we're still at a place that we kind of decide, unintentionally or not, that when a Black cast is on a show, that it's a Black story, as opposed to just a good story, a human story, an interesting story, a suspenseful story. Yeah. It's a shame.
There is so much more that goes into it than just talent. We can all agree that this is fantastic, which brings me to, I think I sort of know the answer, but my question to you is, you working, you doing the damn thing. Why did you add to an already busy schedule?
Why are you trying to make more work for yourself?
Why? But I'm trying to, because we got cameras, use full sentences.
Yes.
But why?
Yeah.
Why did you wake up and go, I'm going to create up a whole, not just a company, but a community of companies that support a community of artists for things that we know we're being judged on, presentation, the quality of our audition tapes, the lighting, how we can do our elevator pitch. Why? Why?
Well, first of all, you had said something just a minute ago about, keep fighting the good fight. Now, of course, I get it, and I will, and we try to. All of us are trying to stay in this game. But also, I think somewhere in my career, I started shifting the focus of being like, let me not worry so much about the jobs I don't have, and the things and the audience we don't have, and the people that don't love us, or the people that aren't paying attention. Who cares? We have great fans. We have amazing fans. We have, and I've been fortunate to do so much. And I think as I shifted and started really focusing on how incredible it is that I have been able to be an actor that's working, right? What it also made me realize is that it shouldn't be this hard. It just shouldn't be this hard. There's nothing actually superhuman about me, I love what I do. I work hard. And I really want to keep being better with every project, But it's that simple, you know what I mean? It really is. I get a script, I'm excited, and then I read it and I get into it, and that's it. And then I go work on it for however long, and that is the goal for the next, couple of weeks or months or whatever, is like, live this thing present every day and give it your best and watch the magic happen and be open to whatever the story is going to become. Like, that's really the job. It's not all that hard. It's not, I actually love it, so I'm very fortunate. It's like, it just shouldn't be that hard to do what we do. And I wanted to think about, why is it so hard? And I tell you, when I talk to like all of my girlfriends, who I call them my co-journeyers, all my co-journeyers, one of the largest consistent sort of things we all say is resources. That's why it's so hard. And in our community in particular, as artists and as Black artists, I said, this was my answer, is I want to be a resource. I have had to discover how hard it is to do things on my own. But it just ain't that hard of a job. It's actually supposed to be a fun job. And it can be, and it should be. And what makes it hard is silly stuff like, you can't get pictures. You don't know where to go to get your headshots. You don't know where to go to do a self-tape. You don't have a community of other actors to just support you. You don't know how to even get in a circle to be dreaming bigger or thinking bigger about yourself. You're at a point where you've been with the same agency or the same team for a while, but there's been blocks, or they don't seem to get you, or just so many things that I was like, you just need a team. You just need a team. We all need a team. We all need help.
We all need a person.
But we all think that nobody will help us. That if we dared to ask, that maybe they wouldn't say yes. And I am just trying with this company and with every single person that's in it, that has been curated, that is curated in a way that they have the heart that I have, they have the passion that I have, that we care about you winning.
Every community has a story, a pulse, a voice waiting to be heard. At Can TV, we bring these stories to life, from the heart of Chicago to your living room. Join us in supporting hyper-local television. Your backing helps us cover what matters directly in our communities, unfiltered and upfront. Help tell the important stories of our communities. Become a program underwriter today.
Can TV is the lens through which Chicago's stories are told, harnessing the unifying power of community television. With Can TV On Demand, immerse yourself in the richness of our city through exclusive stories and programs tailored just for you, connecting you to the heartbeats of our streets, the voices of our people, and the spirit that makes Chicago unique. Discover the strength of your community on Can TV On Demand.
Acting isn't the only thing keeping Cynthia Kaye McWilliams busy these days. She's also stepping into a new chapter as the founder of Sin City Creative, a production company dedicated to telling bold, authentic stories that reflect the richness of our culture. With her hand-selected team of creatives, she's helping others realize their dreams of success. Q. Tell me your full name and your title.
Quinessa Solomon. I am the Director of Operations and the Concept and Product Manager.
What do those incredibly sounding titles mean? What do they look like in real time?
Sure. Director of Operations, Concept and Product Manager. I am responsible for bringing creative visions to life. So part of my role is when people come here with their dreams and their vision for their brand, I help to strategize. And
You're the thought partner.
I'm the thought partner, right? As a creative, so much stuff can be going on in our heads. And so I kind of take it all, streamline it, and then, coordinate with our creative team, manage timeline, find resources, and pull it all together to then start mapping out what it looks like to make that dream reality.
What brought you to Sin City? And what is it about this role for you that means so much?
Okay, honestly, Cynthia brought me to Sin City.
Speak on
When
it.
she started Sin City Creative, she really reached out to find some of the best creatives in Chicago. I was super honored to be a part of that group, but I came in as a creative. And the more I started to work in the space, we slowly learned that I would best thrive on that end of the strategy, the brain, the thought partner. And that's important to me because I've seen what it's like to not have that part in place.
Yeah.
And I can quickly see where there are gaps and where sometimes when that part is missing, the train can fall off the track. Again, as a creative, our minds can just go all over the place. And it's important to me because I'm all about community. We can get so much further together than we can when we isolate ourselves. And I think that as creatives, it's sometimes, even though we don't want to, that's where we end up, isolated. And so the fact that Cynthia brought together this group of creatives that reminded us what it's like to have a community where we are supporting one another. We're not, it's not competitive.
Fighting for crumbs.
We're not fighting, right? We all realize that we all have a part to play. And so what we do is what I love about it is what we do with each other, we also bring to our clients.
How about that?
Yeah.
Blake.
Yes.
Tell me, what is your title?
Oh, what are my titles?
Yes,
I
plural.
am a lead photographer for Sin City Creative. I am the team lead for Sin City Creative, which means I am the manager for all the creatives under the umbrella. I am also a creative director for Sin City Studios, as well as the studio manager for Sin City Studios as well.
So you gave up on sleep.
Yes, quite some time ago.
Good to know. Good to know.
Sin and I don't know really what sleep is.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's paying off. So tell me how you support this incredible undertaking.
Wow, what a great question. I think that I am so blessed to be trusted by Sin to lead the visual piece of the entire company, right? So to your point with Q and I consider Q our script writer. She lays out the vision that Sin wants, kind of tells us what is what, the story we're trying to tell, the narrative we're trying to portray. And then it is my job to make that come to life
Execute.
visually. And so I'm so blessed to be trusted by Sin to execute that. But it is my job. Anything that you see, photos, videos, etc., that is put out into the world, that is my job.
What is your role here at Sin City?
I'm a trainer. I do fitness, exercise. I work directly with with Cynthia and just help her get in shape. She's got to be her best version of herself, so that's my thing.
And so what does that look like in the totality of the work here? Do you continue on? Are you a part of, do I come in and have a consultation with you? How closely do you work with me ongoing?
Well, I'm committed to wherever you're trying to go, so it is ongoing support. So writing down everything that you eat, being able to see your diet plan, knowing what you're gonna do when you're not around me as far as exercise, just being committed to you and just improving everything that you're doing. So I'm completely committed to a client. So from everything from their diet to their fitness to managing stress, all of that.
How did you and Cynthia, how did your paths cross?
So I founded Actors Empowerment Summit last year during the strikes to really encourage and empower artists to, be their own boss, create their own content, take a creative control of their artistry, and don't wait for anyone. And through that artistic journey, Cynthia's name came up through a wonderful actor, a mutual friend of ours, Keith Arthur Bolden. And he has moderated our mentors panel, which is all about empowering actors. We bring on educators, we bring on series regulars. And when we had told Keith we were going to be going to Chicago, the first name he said is, well, you can't do the Artistry Mentors panel without Cynthia Kaye McWilliams. And at the actual summit, she took us to church. She pours her heart and soul into absolutely everything. And one of the highlights that I received from a lot of people afterwards, the testimonials were, who is this Cynthia phenomenon? Who is this absolute godsend and light? She spoke to people, not at people. She speaks to the real struggle of the artist. She speaks to the heart of artists, actors, musicians, stylists, not just, it is called the Actors Empowerment Summit, but it's so expansive.
Sure.
And so her messaging is really in lockstep with the foundation of Actors Empowerment Summit. And I'm so grateful to have had her on.
So talk about why this work matters to you so much and what you hope to accomplish, what you hope the lasting legacy will be.
Well, I think it's a twofold situation. What I love about working with Sin City Creative and Sin City Studios is that each one of us approaches what we do here from a different lens, right? And so, for example, with myself, I've worked so much in that New York, LA, strict, pound the pavement, stringent environment. And a lot of that proper training, that talent and business people get in that New York market, Chicago just doesn't get it. And so that's very, very important to me to help train people of how this business is going to be, how to be successful in this business and not just treat it as a hobby. So that's very important to me. For Q and Sin, it's very important that we do things in a different way. It doesn't have to be as stringent and strict as it is in New York. So it's a wonderful marriage of blending this is how it should be done with there, and then how do we do that differently?
Why does what you all are collectively doing here mean and matter so much to Chicago's burgeoning creative community?
Well, the thing is this, that Chicago is the hub for so many things that are negative. You know, you go outside the country and you say, hey, I'm from Chicago. I was in another country and someone says, bang, bang. Like, you know, you get a lot of negativity, but being here, we see the other side. We see the talent, we see the singing, we see the dancing, we see the musicians. And the thing is that with Sin City Creative, what they're doing is, you said put a bow on it, but they're actually taking the bow off of it. And they're actually exposing all of this talent and they're fine tuning it to the world. So what you're doing here is actually a refining of individuals that have something inside of them. And what they're doing is they're bringing it out.
You're just getting it ready for prime time, but it was already there.
Yeah.
Final question. 5 years from now, with your support in this key role, where is Sin City?
Ooh, I like this. In 5 years, we'll be well known not only in Chicago, but those places where people are traditionally going out. Now people are going to be coming to Chicago.
Come on.
And saying, I'm going to Chicago to go to Sin City Studios. Yes, and coming here now to be able to fulfill those things that they once thought they had to go somewhere else for.
I love that. Our sincere thanks to the absolutely ethereal Cynthia Kaye McWilliams for not only her undeniable talent, but her tireless commitment to creating pathways to opportunities for others. Her life is truly a testament to the old adage, upon whom much is given, much is indeed required. And a sincere thanks to you, our viewers, for tuning in to Chicago Noir. We'll be back next month with 3 more Chicago-centered stories that amplify the rich and varied African-American experience here in the city of big shoulders. Until then, take good care of you and each other.